there's this 14th of February that has so much pressure. Men out there are crying.
So much pressure. And for me, it's double pressure because my birthday is like 3 days before that. And there's no excuse. Like, if you know me, I still want the birthday gift and I want the value. Don't even try to get yourself out of it and say, well, the birthday gift is big. I'm like, no.
The sapiosexual platter.
It is a season and a time of love. Valentine's Day. But what is the nature and the holidays that as Africans we celebrate around love? My name is Bel Seabo Ame.
I am Shatani Samalakai.
And this is the
Sapiosexual
Sapiosexual Platter. Welcome! Happy Valentine!
Cheers!
Love it. Ooh,
By the way, guys, this is a sapiosexual cup if you want one.
right here.
Just make your order in the description and we'll get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Yummy.
To love.
To love.
So how are you spending your Valentine's Day?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just loving myself.
Okay.
Self-care, self-love. I feel like this year for me has just been a year of just pouring into myself and learning how to love myself more. And
And how's that been?
It's been fantastic.
Okay.
It's wild how you don't realize that you are spending so much time externalizing so much and expecting in return that people would give you something, but that's already inside of yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been just a wonderful journey and I love it. And I would actually encourage a lot of people, whether you're in a relationship or not, to actually go on that journey and spend a lot of time loving yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think for me, with my journey of self-love, recently I only came to the realization that when I was on the journey of loving myself and embracing love, it was more building skill. So it feels like now I've really truly entered the season of self-love and really loving, because the last 3 to 5 years have been building the skill. And now that the skill is refined and it's there, it's now time to put it to action. So it opened my mind to this train of thought that, actually, people would be saying self-love, 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 but they don't realize that even the journey of self-love is in certain stages. That in a journey that you actually think, because the last 3-5 years I've been thinking, I've been practicing self-love.
Yeah.
Little did I know is I was actually building the skill.
Yeah.
And now it's like I'm really truly in self-love. And beyond self-love, relationship love. I want to know, what do you know of the story of Valentine's?
Oh, wow. You just put me on the spot. Something about Cupid, you know, and some guy. Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm going to misquote the story so heavily.
Yeah.
But I know it has something to do with Cupid and, you know, an angel or some mystical person, creature that had the power to, with his arrows, he like points an arrow at you and then you fall in love with somebody. I think. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but something along those lines. I don't think I pay attention anymore, but
I love that.
That's
though.
as little as I know about Valentine's and the origins of Valentine's.
I love that. I thought it was named after a person for some reason.
Yeah, I also think that too.
Yeah,
I think it's a mix of different cultures. I mean, events, and definitely Valentine's the person, but then the culture also has a Cupid story.
Yeah, it has a Cupid story. I think it evolved to then embrace the Greek angel of love, Cupid. I think he's Greek, who would shoot people or shoot if like somebody said, "Oh, I want love," or the gods felt like they wanted love. It was Cupid that was put in charge of that. But I think it's just so fascinating, the story of Valentine's and how it has evolved, because I then wonder, is it a real story or is it just a ploy to make money?
I mean, I think now more than ever, I recognize the power of capitalism and the capitalism machine.
Yeah.
So definitely, it's a way to make money. At the same time, I do think it's symbolic, and I do think it's nice.
Yeah.
You know, to spend a day in the year commemorating love and whatever it means to you, and giving it the meaning that you'd like, because at least they're not static about it. It's not like, oh, rigid and this is how it ought to be.
Yeah.
We're free to do it the way we like, and I think the way it's been presented to us is quite romanticized.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not? Why not send me a gift on Valentine's, send me perfume, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see the reason why not, you know?
Well, I would say because I do it all the time, guys. I'm always a piece of goddess. Must there be one specific day where we have to like celebrate love, where I'm like, people like myself will be like, we love on an everyday basis, forever paying attention, forever thinking, what can I do to add value? What can I do to make this person feel seen? So when you're already embracing love on an everyday basis, and then there's this 14th of February that has so much pressure. Men out there are crying.
So much pressure. And for me, it's double pressure because my birthday is like 3 days before that. And there's no excuse. Like, if you know me, I still want the birthday gift and I want the value. Don't even try to get yourself out of it and say, well, the birthday gift is big. I'm like, no. Everybody gets a Valentine's Day and a birthday.
Yeah.
So I'm not like exempt. So you should just, you know.
Yeah.
But I feel you.
Yeah, I just think it's a tool to make money. I see these holidays like Christmas. There's just and you know the thing about, because the Western world had like maybe 100 years forward than us in terms of like just understanding the power that's happening into the mind and the impact of branding. So it just felt like the story that's branded, maybe it was true, but I think over the years it has just evolved into a money-making machine for companies that understand. So you'd find, even when you look at Fenty Beauty, I think last week they've already started advertising their lingerie line for Valentine's Day. And even when you travel the world, you're in New York, you're in Europe, wherever, you'd find that 2 months before there's Valentine's Day, there's perfumes being dropped, there's makeup lines being dropped, and you know, just different packages that are for women, and they cater for the woman, the audience of the woman. They cater for the woman because specifically men out there would have to be dipping into that pockets.
There's a lot of pressure for sure.
And then I just also wonder, like, now that I've awakened and I see that it's a story to, I see it now more as a story to just, I don't know, sell products than anything. I don't think it's a story specifically for love so much anymore. And because now we're returning to our roots, because that's the tone we've set for the year with the African spirituality episode, I'm like, what are the roots of celebrating love in the African context? What are the roots of celebrating love in the specific African countries that we come from? And one of the stories when I was thinking about this episode that came to my mind actually was the story of Lintswela Baratani. So for our international viewers, there's a specific hill in Botswana. It is in a place called Otse, near the capital city. I think it's like 40 minutes drive from the capital city or so. And it's called Lintswela Baratani, the Hill of Lovers. So there's this very potent story about how there were these two young lovers who loved themselves dearly, but
loved each other
very dearly. They're very much in love, but the young lady was already, her hand in marriage was already bestowed upon somebody else. It was an arranged marriage, so she decided to run away with her lover, and they went to hide on this hill. And when they went on this hill, they were never seen again. They just disappeared. So ever since then, people have been afraid to go up that hill. They're like, oh my God, if you go up that hill, that's how we were told the folklore when we were growing up, that if you go up that hill,
you never come back.
You'll never come back. That's the one hill that you shouldn't go on. So that is the story that I grew up to in my Setswana culture pertaining to love. Like, you just knew of this romantic-esque thing, and it almost felt like being told the story. Obviously, there's a lesson behind it. I don't know if it was maybe to tell the power of love, that it permeates and transcends beyond certain boundaries, whether it's boundaries of distance, whether it's boundaries of cultural background,
religious background, classes. Yeah.
Like, love is going to be love, and it's going to just get you into actions that you never thought you would get into.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story. I love it too, and I think there's been a recent movie made about it, which is absolutely phenomenal, like a short movie.
A short film. Yeah,
it's stunning. Actually, there isn't a lot of like romantic stories that I can think of that I'm trying to recall.
Yeah.
So I don't know that like African culture, I think it's definitely romantic in that it's very action based.
Yeah.
But it certainly hasn't been told in the way that like the Hollywood narrative, you know, and obviously don't have the Hollywood machine of, planting those seeds in our conscious mind. And so I think we often have a different perspective of love in the African sense. It almost feels exhausting. It feels different. It feels
love in the African context?
Yeah.
You find it exhausting?
Because it just feels, it's work, and it's like, if
what do you mean?
Like, if you know, like the movies, or like if you watch maybe like South African like shows on, it'll be like, I had to get a Rosie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it'll be like on a Valentine's Day, you have a set of African men who are making fun of the idea of buying roses and, typically falling into the capitalism that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's like, but why can't you buy me roses? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I think there's that. Growing up as a young kid, I almost felt like, is there romanticism in African culture? Like, this is just like a lot of work. It's like you have to, be the makoti, and you have to cook, try to impress so much, and like your in-laws, and there's just so much duty. There's a lot of duty, like it's so duty based. And for the men, it's like bring the money, bring the cows, and it's just like, when do we ever just relax, guys? Like, even with Lobola, which is so beautiful and amazing in terms of its symbolism, but then you also see as well that like some people end up in deep financial trouble trying to appease the African, or go along with the African ways of love. Yeah. And they somehow seem not to be beautifully assimilating into where we are in a modern way. Yeah. And creating more conflict, creating more confusion. Yeah. And pain. Yeah. Than what it ought to achieve. And it's like, how about Valentine's? And just buy me a rose. Yeah. Call me from work. Open the door for me. What would it hurt?
Yeah, I get you. I think when it comes to roses, for me, it's also one of those things that's really branded a certain way. Yeah. And I think because it's also now so Instagrammable. Half the people that get roses on Instagram don't even like roses. They don't even know how to take care of roses. I love roses. Like, yeah, you can love roses, but I actually just think that majority of people, women specifically, one, don't know how to take care of roses. Two, don't know how to cut the stem and actually put it in water. Yeah. Don't know how to arrange flowers. Then you'd find that somebody's saying, oh, buy me flowers, buy me flowers, buy me flowers. Do you even know how to take care of flowers? Or did you see it in a movie somewhere, somebody being bought flowers, and you feel like, oh my God, it's so romantic to buy flowers. I think for me, I find Africanism very romantic. One of the reasons why I find it highly romantic is because I don't think there are any men that know how to court a woman than African men.
That's true.
The way they do it, it's just so dominant, so masculine, so unassuming. Just, I want you, I need you, I'm coming after you. Whereas I feel like with other races and other cultures, they sort of like await a signal.
Yeah, it's a 50-50. It's not the typical pursuer dynamic. Yeah. The pursued. Yeah, it's almost like both women take, men and women in that dynamic.
Women should send signals, communicate, do something. An African man, even if you say no and you're fronting, like, no, I don't want you, but knowing very well you want him, he will do the most. He would come after you, you know. So I think that's what I like about it. I find that it has a lot of romance and a lot of respect as well. I think the way that, because when I look at what you were saying, I would take that more as we understand romance according to how it's articulated to us through movies.
Yes.
But to just look at the practicality of the men went out to look for food during the day so that we can eat. That is romantic in itself,
100%,
you know?
yeah.
So I think African culture has a lot of romanticism. I just think it's a matter of us crafting boldly, and that's what the sapiosexual is about, and what's trying to achieve, to assert Africanism, to say what is actual romance in our culture, and how do we then share that with the world without always being things being defined to us. Because now I feel like African women are demanding for things that are not innate, but more programmed. We're asking for roses, we're asking for Chanel, we're asking for
Louis
LV,
Vuittons,
you know,
darling.
and those are things that you don't even understand the genesis, why they were created, and all of a sudden, because you saw an influencer wearing them, you want
Read
them.
us to filth.
Like, ask yourself why. Like, why do you want the things you
Guys,
want?
Bella's always reading us to filth. Like, ask for the Louis Vuitton, girl. You deserve it. You're worth it, okay?
They're still great, but I'm just like, people just do things without reasoning, without really going within themselves and asking themselves. In particular, when I think about romanticism, the men that get it, that have it the best, like that do it the best, we have to give you credit. Western African, Nigeria specifically. To be honest, I can't even say Western African, I would say Nigeria. I just think the way that Nigerian men are raised to be romantic and have responsibility about marriage is absolutely just so phenomenal. They'll just be like, sing a song, I pray for your mother. Hey, you know, somebody once said to me that I pray for your mama. I was like, yo, you pray for my mom because I'm pretty? Love that.
Yeah, no, I mean, shout out.
Shout out.
Honestly, and I get,
Yeah.
But that I can't say anything about, like, I dare anyone anywhere in the world to even try the Nigerian game. It's just...
I
think they have their own muscle about it, and it's just been refined over the years, and they keep raising the standard, and they're not about to water it down. I think for them, it's just they take so much pride in blowing you out of your mind.
Yeah.
And that's a nice experience to have as a woman. It's definitely amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, I like your point about, you know, asking for things that we don't understand. And I was thinking about is it the same Waikiki culture? The people from Kanye.
Oh, that's
Yes. So there's a tribe or a nation tribe in our country, Bangladesh, and their women are typically known to, you know, instead of demanding or requesting roses, they will request building material.
Those girls,
like, they've got something. You know, they will say, look, if you want me, I need you to buy 10 bags of cement, bricks, whatever, because, you know, I need to build. So essentially, as the man who's pursuing this person, by the time that you get married, your goal is to literally make sure that you've built a homestead for this woman and her family. Essentially, before you build your own, you got to make sure that, like, her side of the family is sorted. And I think that's also quite admirable. And I think, you know, as I grow up, I find myself also inclined to that.
10 bags of cement on Valentine's Day, guys.
I'm like,
it's 2025.
If you can buy me, like, land and, you know, like, add to my deposit at Builder's Warehouse for, like, the house I want to build, that is highly romantic.
Yeah.
Very welcome. And yeah, I think I get it, because I'm like, yeah, a rose is symbolic and it's beautiful and it's sentimental. But yeah, for me, it's the stuff the tangible things that somebody may have got for you that you're able to still use years later, that really does something where you're like, wow.
And you look back.
You look back and like, wow, that was grand. Thank you. In my young mind, I didn't appreciate it, but with perspective, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Rose is nice if you can, but if you can buy the cement, let's do that.
Yeah. No, I agreed.
Yeah.
I like roses for the symbolic nature of there's this saying that Western Africans use when they want to marry you. They say, I've plucked a rose from your mother's garden, a flower from your mom's garden. You know, so a woman is seen as a flower that comes from the garden of her home. And that's why with the lobolas that you were speaking about, it's more to like send an appreciation to the source of that flower, which is the mother, to appreciate the parents that raised that girl, because the idea is that just as we're plugging a flower from that garden, this flower is going to multiply for us because men carry the seed and women, we are the fertile ground. So it's like the seed is nothing without the intended or the specific fertile ground that they're looking for that will nurture that seed, because different grounds nurture different ways.
Yeah.
So I like roses for that representation, to just say, you plucked from my mom's garden, so therefore I'm the garden now, you know, and you have to be buying me flowers all the time. And guys, just speaking of the garden, like I'm in full blossom. I don't know if you've seen my hair.
Stunning.
I'm in full blossom
Mama
on the garden as well.
Africa's
Exactly.
in the same theme of Mama Africa.
I'm telling you, I'm
She's
healing
the
all of
mother,
y'all.
guys. This is mother. But let's talk about intimacy though, because
Okay.
the cement is nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like men, we know that men with their preference for like what they would consider an enjoyable relationship is one where there is, plenty intimacy, just being politically correct here. I'm like, like a bag of cement, for the next 3 months, that'd be nice. But like, that's not going to, I don't know. But I don't know if I speak for other women, but is that going to lead to intimacy, or is, oh my God, he got me flowers.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so romantic.
Yeah.
So balancing that to say like, okay, fine, you'd want the practical gifts, but what about the gifts that actually
Men want? What about, okay, finish your
well,
statement.
yeah, like what about the gifts that would create the atmosphere for men to get what they want?
Okay.
You get what I mean?
So like, how can men gift women so that they can get the intimacy?
Yes.
I think marry the woman. Like, what are you still gifting? Give her a diamond, send cows to her mom, buy her a house, make it legit. Marry the woman. Because I think for me, yes, we've evolved and now we get intimate outside of wedlock and it's all good and well. But I used to love the nature of the African culture and how the man had to go make his intentions known to the family of the woman before intimacy, because men knew that marriage was a pathway to get intimacy. So now sex is one of the cheapest things in this world, and it has now just diluted the foundation of marriage in terms of intimacy.
Yeah.
Because a man knew, I have this impulsive need to get intimate. I've seen the daughter of the Somali guys and her body and everything. I want to tap that. Instead of going to buy the bricks of cement and giving them to her because you want intimacy. No. That's not enough. To get intimate with a woman is like having access to $1 billion. It's not enough to buy the bricks of cement. And women, I'm talking to you.
100.
That man buys you the plot saying, thank you. If he buys you the car, thanks. You. If he buys you the roses, thank you. If he goes to your family and makes the intentions known that this is the girl, I want this girl, that's the way you then give them full access. You can't want husband privileges as a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Or even a pursuer. It's a no-no. We're in 2025, and don't listen to me, guys, because I don't have the cleanest track record with what I'm saying. Like, listen to my advice. Don't do as I do, but do as I say.
Nah, man. I feel
Yeah.
like stand on your word. Like,
Mhm.
as an African woman,
Yeah.
and looking at the world over, and the way that relationship is in crises.
Yeah.
One of them.
I'm saying that's exactly what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Because the only reason why I'm putting that disclaimer is only to say that I may be saying this now in hindsight, but I didn't necessarily practice that. So I don't want to appear hypocritical, like giving certain advice that I didn't live out. But because I didn't live it out fully, I can sit here and say, if I was to redo things, buy me the diamonds, buy me the bricks, buy me the plots, you're not getting none of my punani. Thank you. But yeah, carry on.
Said the African women.
Yeah.
Said the sapiosexual platter. That's just the way it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I agree with that actually 100%, because that's just the biology of men, going back to science to say there's just something about giving access that depletes the pursuit. It's like, oh, I got this. I don't need to do anymore. Great. You know? So yeah, just, let's get back into the culture of marrying our women, marry the mother of your children.
Exactly.
Marry the woman that you love, make a woman out of her, as the saying would go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say something highly controversial. Yes, we're speaking about love, but I would also want to say that the history of marriages in the African culture were not on the basis of love.
Yeah, that's what I was
It
saying.
was
It's
like
very
highly practical.
duty-filled,
Exactly.
survival.
Exactly.
Survival inclined.
I don't even think it's more survival inclined. I think it's also actualization inclined, because you would have royal families marry amongst themselves.
Fair.
To strengthen power. And the idea of it, when you have people from the same societal class marrying, it was having to deal with people's background and context is a lot of layers. Dealing with differences in cultures is a lot of layers. It's almost easier to just grab people that are from the similar background and culture with you, that have a knowing and an understanding of how you've lived life, without having to try to merge the two. So I feel like even just the concept of love and popularity and romanticism, there's certain videos that I've watched from relationship coach who are like, just stop romanticizing marriage.
Yeah.
Because marriage is beyond love. There's the finances aspect, there's the intimacy you talk about, there's the growing of children, there's spirituality,
merging two families.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, yes, let's enjoy love, enjoy Valentine's Day, and be with our loved ones and celebrate that. But I think the nature of just how Africanism in the past was so practical showed that love grows. And people nowadays are so impatient with love because they're waiting for this spontaneous feeling that they've never felt before, that is just so extreme and so intense and gives them butterflies. And then they're like, yeah, this is love. I love this man. When I met him, I felt this way. But I think Africans just had a sense of wisdom where they knew that love evolves, love grows. It's like a plant. You nurture it, it grows. You don't nurture it, it whistles away.
The grass is green where you water it.
Exactly. The flowers are growing.
The flowers bloom where you water them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even just to now wrap up this episode is just to say, yes, let's be all about love, but let's also remember ourselves, remember our reason, that the practical nature of somebody making you feel seen, cared for, heard, creates love and also nurtures that love. So the practical nature of how marriage was designed just sets a very strong foundation for love, and people are just able to then say, you came home with a piece of meat and made sure that I was well fed on my favorite piece of meat. He's paying attention. I love him, and I think even in celebrating Valentine's Day, we need to really question romanticism. Yes, enjoy romance, but know that it's not the end all and the be all of things. Because there's certain people that would leave very perfect relationships just because they're not experiencing the romanticism of it all.
Yeah, just because you forgot to get me flowers on Valentine's.
Yeah.
How could you?
Exactly. So explore the concept of love beyond romanticism. That's my point. And really be comfortable with your roots and the idea of love where you come from, and just embody it boldly.
I think every day is a day to love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
And
But you still want your Valentine's
I mean,
gifts.
if you can, if you can.
Yeah.
But I'm grown now. But I would be surprised if you didn't. Guys, yeah. So I think love is every day. Love is all the time. Love is a muscle, as you said at the very beginning. It's a skill that you grow and you begin to understand life and the world and what is really love. And I think I also went through the same. I also went through the same journey where even life you romanticize initially as well. You just think that, like, if you have a job and you get accolades at work and accolades at school, and it's good like educational development, and then one day you wake up and you're like, but is this really love? Is this really building myself? Like, what legacy do I leave if this is all I ever do? And you start getting really serious about finances, you start getting really serious about like your future, and you're like, oh, that's love, so I can't spend my money at the club and just doing all the stuff for social media. It has to be deeper than that, and then that translates to all aspects of your life, and then it becomes an everyday thing. Love yourself in terms of your discipline, your body, the food that you eat. That's real love. That's a demonstration of love to yourself. What you're putting in your mind, what are you reading, the friends that you have, your values and all of that. And then you're like, wow, do I really love myself? And only once you master that for yourself, then I think you can begin to attract, we've said it before, attract people at the same frequency as you, and of course begin to experience partners who buy cement and
But you know what is like, what just came to my mind with what you just shared?
Yeah.
That love is not easy.
Oh no, the Bible will say, 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient, love is kind, love is long suffering.
Yeah.
Love keeps no record of wrongs. There will be wrongs.
Yeah.
Plenty wrongs.
So many
wrongs. And, but love is it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's what we need to fuel us to continue. And it's our love for Africa that fuels us to continue to do this sapiosexual platter. And so we're so grateful for tuning in.
Yeah.
We wish you a wonderful Valentine's Day, although we challenge us all to think about redefining the day in an African way.
Yeah.
That would be a nice challenge to see what would it look like if Africans took the 14th of February, named it something different, and did something that actually celebrated and commemorated love as Africans know it, and in a way that generations coming after us can think about the day and be reminded of what our ancestors wanted love to look like in this day and age.
Yeah. And we are sorry that we didn't hold the Valentine's Day event. I know that some of y'all were looking forward to it, but in terms of logistics, things were just not coming in together. And hopefully maybe next year we'll do something and show you our own African interpretation of love. Who knows?
Well, yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in and wishing you so much love. And my name is Shatani Somalakai.
And I am Belsa Abo Ame.
And you are watching
The Sapiosexual Platter.